Welcome, Sash faithful. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Jesse, and joining me for our opposition preview of the Western Bulldogs is Danny from the Danny Boyd podcast. How are you, Danny?
Yes, very well, Jesse. It's an honour to be on here. One of my best mates, Casper, is a big listener of your pod, and he said that you guys are quite funny and entertaining, and he doesn't normally listen to the opposition episodes because, why would you? Who cares about them? But he will today. G'day, Cass.
Is Casper a Sash faithful? Is he a Don supporter?
He is. He's he's my age. He's 42. He's a long-suffering Bombers fan. And I've just seen over the past 20, 25 years, just the light slowly go out of his eyes.
Well, at least he's had some love affair and success. I'm 29 years old and have not really any remembrance of any success whatsoever.
Dude.
The only memory that I have of us being successful, funnily enough, is the only game in 2000 that we lost to the Western Bulldogs. And I was at that game. And that's the only game of 2000 that I actually remember. So that sums it up as me being an Essendon supporter. I don't even remember a win in the 2000 season. That's how scarred I am.
Wow. It's got to be really annoying for Bombers fans that you had arguably the greatest team of the century and definitely the greatest season of my lifetime, and yet the only match that's ever played on, great games, or whatever, is the game where you lose. I mean, I of course love watching that game, but it feels really unfair that, I couldn't even name another game in that season apart from you beating Melbourne in the grand final. But it just seems you thumped everyone so comprehensively that there's never they don't make it on the good games lists.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but look, it was a great year. We digress, and Danny, we've got a bit of a tradition on this show for new panelists, and that is to have our new panelists share how they became the supporter of their football club. Please share.
Well, I was a Bombers fan, but then I went to a psychic and they warned me, and I quickly jumped on the Bulldogs. No, my parents are migrants, came from Scotland and Northern Ireland, and moved to Australia in 1982. Mum was pregnant with me. Dad is a Glasgow Celtic fan, so wasn't really didn't know any. But when they moved to Australia, moved to Preston, and Mum so they landed. My older brother fell asleep. Mum fell asleep. Dad went for a walk around his new area and went to the Olympic Hotel on Bell Street. Prestonians will know it. And it's just off Bell Street anyway. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And he was trying to order a beer. And the barman couldn't understand his thick Glasgow accent. And there was a guy next to the bar who could understand. He's like, he just wants to get a beer. And eventually, it worked out. He got him a beer. And the guy started chatting to him. Dad told him, I've just moved to Australia, got a pregnant wife. I don't really know. And the guy said, oh, sweet. Well, they start talking about Melbourne, how you fit in. He goes, what footy team do you go for? And Dad said, Celtic. And the guy said, no, what real footy team do you go for? And Dad said, buy me another beer, I'll go for your team for life. And Dad still goes for Carlton because of that man who became my godfather. And so my older brother goes for Carlton, but I always had to be different. And I wanted, for my 8th birthday, I actually went through a whole bunch of teams because we used to get hand-me-down
one of those guys.
Clothes. Yeah. Oh, well, in my defense, not growing up in a football house, but we got hand-me-down clothes through the local parish. So I had a Richmond jumper for a while. I had a Collingwood jumper. And I told my mum for my 7th or 8th birthday, I want my own footy jumper, not someone else's. And I want Gary Ablett. I want the Cats. They were the big thing. And Mum didn't give a fuck about football. Cole, can I swear? Sorry, in this?
You can.
Okay,
you can. Profanity's allowed.
Football. All right, brilliant. And she just went to Kmart and bought the cheapest one. And it was a Bulldogs one, and I've been Bulldogs ever since.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of my dad is an Italian migrant, and he came over here when he was about 5, 6 years old, and they still had black and white TV back then. And my dad's brother was an Essendon supporter, and my dad was a Melbourne supporter. So they asked my nonna, his mum at the time, to go out and get an Essendon and a Melbourne jersey. And she came home with 2 Essendon jerseys because she said she couldn't have either of her sons going for opposite teams. They needed to go for the same team.
Good on you, nonna. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of the Greek migrants took up North Melbourne just because of the blue and white was the Greek flag. Whereas the Italians didn't have that option. There was no, I guess maybe Carlton, but I guess that's why a lot of Italians go for Carlton, because the Azzurro would be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the same goes for Greeks going for Carlton as well because of the
the
blue
in their team. Yeah, so I love this stuff. I love
decoding it
and the faction, because my family's from Glasgow, where Celtic is the Rangers are the white Protestant team, Celtic's the migrants team, and I just love decoding all what different factions mean. And we sort of lost that in the AFL. And full credit to Essendon, you hung on to your Freemason roots way longer than pretty much any other club. Like, wasn't Kevin Sheedy your first Catholic as a coach?
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
I think I've read that somewhere. I'm happy to be corrected. And for any, I'm sure the hardcore Sash Essendon historians, please correct me if I'm wrong there.
Come to the surface. Please comment on the Instagram page, or if there's any Discorders out there, we would love to hear. Let's turn our attention to the Bulldogs, and you are sitting 6th on the ladder with 5 wins and 4 losses, with a percentage of quite a healthy percentage of 122. How have you viewed the doggy season so far?
It's been an absolute roller coaster, but in the best possible way. I mean, luck really was against us in the preseason. We've lost, Jamari Ugle-Hagan is, that's the ongoing saga. Adam Treloar, Cody Waitman, Liam Jones was injured at the start. Like, we lost pretty much all of about 6 of our top 10 players, and so we were playing really undermanned. But and people were asking me at the start of the year, even before all those injuries, how the Dogs going to go, and my response was always the same, mate. We can beat anyone on our day. We could thump Brisbane at the Gabba, but we could also lose to West Coast at Docklands. You never know which Bulldogs are going to show up, and it's. Some would say, if you want to be positive about it, it's so exciting. But at the other time, it's frustrating as hell. And so when we lost all those players, I thought, we're in for a bit of a rough start. But so many young lads have stood up, like Davidson, Fraser, even our brand, Riley Sanders has found out. Ed Richards has been so amazing. So and then as soon as Bont came back, so we had a few close losses. Lost to Magpies by a goal. Lost to Freo by I think 2. And then Bont came back, and we lost on the weekend to Gold Coast up in Darwin, but only by a kick. And so I'm feeling quite bullish. Like, I haven't seen us play this consistently well for a long time, and we haven't had Cody Waitman. And I know Essendon fans hate Cody Waitman. I should pick another injured player, but I'm both up and about. Not I'm not as arrogant as the Hawthorn fans, but I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah, so you should. You've been playing some really good footy. I was watching patches of that game against Gold Coast over the weekend. Tough, hard, fought-out game. Those Darwin games are tough. And, I mean, on top of that, the Gold Coast, that's probably the worst ground that you could play the Gold Coast at. They're such a tough, contested team. Matt Rowell is an absolute beast in the contest. But, yeah, I mean, you looked really good. It looked like English did a bit of a number on Jared Witts from what I saw. Witsy seemed a bit out on his feet. And, yeah, it just seemed like a lot of your good players stood up. But also there are some of those younger players. I remember watching the simulation against the Dogs when we played you at the Whitten Oval. And that I just kept seeing that Fraser guy pop up off half back. And he looks like a really good player.
He's been amazing. He's really we got him. He was playing pretty consistently last year, and was good, was fine. But he's found the cliches. He found another gear. He's found 2 gears, and they're calling him Baby Bont now. Which the interesting thing, there's a real nickname war in the Bulldogs about certain players, and one is Fraser. I think his teammates call him Fridge. The commentators are calling him Baby Bont, but us at the Danny Boyd podcast and our listeners have decided he's called Dr. Crane. Because if you're called Fraser, you've got to be called Dr. Crane.
Yes, nice.
And so we're going to fight the club on that. So, but yeah, he's been really amazing. And I wanted to ask you actually, how's your teacher going? Because in that Whitnovel simulation, I was watching with my mate Casper, and that kid who was the teacher in Perth, and you got him in. Has he had a good year?
Are you taking the piss, or are you actually genuinely
I don't watch
asking?
as much Essendon as you clearly do the Bulldogs.
Well, funny you asked that question, because in his first game, he kicked 3 against Adelaide when we got slapped and had a really good game. The next game, he was pretty quiet and he got subbed at 3/4 time. And then in the third game that he played, he did his ACL.
Oh, did he? Oh, no. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
he did his ACL. In the first... the problem with... So I'm a stand-up comedian by trade. The first month of the season is so... I can only really watch the Bulldogs because comedy festivals on, school holidays. It's also my son's birthday. Then there's gather round. I work behind the scenes on Front Bar, so we have a gather round episode, which takes a lot of time. So yeah. I feel quite uninformed. I apologise to the Sash listeners that you had to relive that. But I was just... When you brought up that simulation game, I was like, oh yeah, he looks amazing. And
he did. He played really well against you guys. It's such a shame. It's just been the story of our season this year.
It's been the story of your century.
Oh, I know. Seriously, you're actually right. I feel I have this ongoing joke with the Sash faithful that the Tullamarine hangar was built on an Indian burial ground, because since we've moved to the hangar, nothing has gone right and everything has gone wrong, including every time a player starts to show something, they get injured. I mean, if you go back in the history, Joe Danaher has his breakout year and then he has osteitis pubis for a year. Don't see him. Ridley has a breakout year, injured for the rest of his life. Darcy Parish, breakout year, injured for the rest of his life. There's so many players that you can list.
Zach Reed. I mean, he's having a good year now, so he's due to be injured again.
Oh, don't say it. We can't. we had another one of our debutants, this guy called Lewis Hayes. He's been toiling away and he played really well against you guys as well. He held Norton to absolutely no goals. He was that redhead, lanky guy playing in the simulation. Anyway, he's 20 years old and came second in the BNF in the VFL last year. Has been behind in the pecking order, but Ridley going down and a few others meant he had an opportunity and looked so at home, even above AFL standard level in his opening game, and he did his ACL over the weekend as well. So we've had 3 ACLs in 4 weeks and Draper do his Achilles. So we've got 4 season-ending injuries in the last 4 weeks. It's just been so tough to watch.
Sorry I brought it up, mate.
I know. Well, I've unloaded on you now, so you need to give me something back, Danny.
It's good to know. It's good to know, because when I talk to my mate Casper about this, I almost don't ask him too much about the Bombers these days, because he just gets the 1,000-yard stare, and I can just hear "Hello Darkness," my old friend, kicking in.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's been pretty dark, but for us, there are some positives to be taken out of the season, and for the first time, it seems as if all the off-field stuff, the executive side of the club, is now really stable, and you typically find that the fish rots from the head, and
there's a
in
great
this situation,
quote from John Kennedy, the Hawthorn coach. He said, "You can win a flag with a mediocre team. You can't win a flag with a mediocre administration. So you need to get that." Who's your CEO these days?
CEO is Craig Vozzo. He's come from West Coast, so he was there for
that's a good idea.
There 5 or 10 years, but they were quite good. His background prior to being a CEO is a list manager, and I'm sure you've heard about all the Adrian Dodoro nonsense.
I have, yes, yeah.
So we have a CEO who's a list manager, and now we have an actual list manager as well, and it seems to be proving dividends, because a lot of the players that we picked up in the draft are best on in the VFL every week at the moment, and they're all 17, 18-year-olds running around with still no hair on their balls, and it's working a treat. But the precipice of what I'm trying to get at, Danny, is it looks like we can finally see a roadmap, and there's, a clear game plan. We've got a good coach. We've got some really good young talent on the list. We've got some good middle-aged players, and yeah, hopefully in the next 5 or 10 years, we might see something. Maybe 20. We could see some success.
Do you release this as a video or just as an audio medium?
Bit of both, I think.
Video and audio. Because I just want the listeners to, just when you replay you saying that, and I can see the fear in your eyes as you begin to dream, to dare to hope just a little bit. Like you just expect, I mean, we're recording this, it's almost 9:00 at night. At any moment now, there just could suddenly be a breaking story of another club's been liquidated. It's caught fire. You're now called the Darwin Bombers. Actually, that's that would be a bad name for them. That would be quite tasteless.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's a tough life, but the real question is, what's more difficult, being a Western Bulldogs supporter or being an Essendon supporter?
Oh, at the moment, it's definitely you guys. The great thing about being a Bulldogs fan is no one hates us yet. And, you want...
Do you even have a rival?
Yeah, GWS.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So no one hates us. Like, Seb and Sam, the two GWS fans, they're... Sam's... Alex. No, there's 3 now. Yeah, we have a main rivalry there. We do have a one-sided rivalry with Richmond where we hate them, but they don't care, which is quite annoying.
That makes it more annoying. It's like North Melbourne and Essendon.
Yes.
North Melbourne hates us and we just don't care about North.
Yeah. I think that's also, I mean, this is just showing my nerddom of history. I think that you guys were in the same area, but you were the Protestant team, they were the Catholic team. That's the origins of it.
Your religious history when it comes to football is very astute, Danny.
Well, if I'm correct, I might be talking out my ass, but I think I'm right.
Well, let's steer our attention back to the game over the weekend, and it was a very hard-fought game over the weekend. You just narrowly went down to the Dogs up in Darwin. What were some of the key takeaways from the game?
We're the Dogs.
Sorry, the Suns. My apologies.
Yeah, look, it was tough conditions. When I was saying on my podcast a couple of weeks when Bont was back, I was like, I think we can win all our games. The only one I'm worried about is the Suns. I don't think we'll win that. And the reason we play the Suns up in Darwin is revenge, because we play 2 games a year in Ballarat, and we always have asked the AFL to make it either Port Adelaide or Adelaide, because their fans live sort of close to Ballarat. It's only a 6-hour drive. Or could we play the Queensland teams, because they cannot handle the conditions? Like Ballarat is freezing for at the best of times. For Queenslanders, you might as well be playing in Siberia. So Gold Coast of getting revenge on us by we're playing there every year or so, and you could just see that in the last few minutes. Like Gold Coast train in those conditions 8 months of the year. We train in it 8 hours a year. And so you were seeing the ball just slipping out of our hands, and they were easily picking it up. And it was a good game, and I'm very proud that we came back. In years gone past, we would have dropped our heads and let them overrun us. But we've just got, I guess Bevo's got him up and about at the moment. He's apparently back to nice Bevo. He was nice Bevo for a couple of years. We won flag, and then he became angry dad for a few years.
Yeah,
then he was nice again.
He's lower cortisol levels Bevo now. He's simmering.
I don't know what I actually, my theory is, I got told, I don't know how accurate this is, but he sort of had a surfing accident and hurt his neck a bit. So he was in some chronic pain for a couple of years, and it made him angry. And so he wasn't coaching, because he's all puppy dogs and ice cream. That's how he gets the players up. And I guess he's doing that now, although we did have a complete restructure of the football department. But
what do you mean by puppy dogs and ice creams? Like, he's a nice guy. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that
it's
how
what he was at the start of his career?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't seem like that. He seems like an angry man all the time.
Well, yeah, now he is. But in 2015 and 16, when he came in, because before that we had Brendan McCartney, who was all about contested possession and screaming at them, kept giving them a spray pretty much every training session.
Rodney Eade style.
Rodney Eade. So before that, we did have Rodney Eade. So then Bevo came in and was all, no, I really believe in you guys, and I think you can do it. And let's sing Kumbaya. And yeah, hey, we won a flag within 2 years of being 14th. So it worked.
It does work. I'm actually reading a book at the moment about leadership, and it says lead with empathy, and it seems to be the way to go. But it's a lot easier said than done in a results-based industry like football. And yeah, I mean, it seems like I'm happy for him because he's had a whole lot of scrutiny in the past couple of years, and it seems like he's just one of the coaches in the firing line when it comes to the media, which puts a lot of pressure on the club. And for all of you guys, it must be good to rally behind him, and a lot of the players have backed him in. And your season's been really good so far. I was looking at your win-loss, and the teams that you have lost to are good teams, and you've not only put away some really poor... Yeah, except for Freo. But you've put away some really poor teams as well with some big wins. And, looking at that nearly 100-point victory against Port just gives me shades of the 21 goal in a row game against us. What was that, 5 or 6 years ago? Yes. Oh, that was actually one of the worst. That's the worst game of football I've ever been to in my life. I remember I was there with Rob, who is the obvious host of the show on the Monday nights. And I was there with Rob, Mert, and a few other people. And that was bad. That was really demonic. We were staring down the bottom of our beers for the last 3 or 4 quarters.
Because you got the first goal within 20 seconds. And
we're like, here we go.
3 quarters. Yeah, I remember being a bit nervous. I will give full credit to the Essendon fans. That night, it was party time for us. There were a couple of moments with Bombers fans that just made me laugh. You guys were, obviously having a really bad time. There's this big, fat Essendon fan who's quite loud, and he stands on the wing at certain games. And I reckon people would know. If I say him, people are going to recognise him. But I remember when we got our 17th goal in a row, he just yelled out, "Shut up, Footscray. You don't even have an airport."
Oh my God, what a call. Someone give this guy a microphone.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then there was this little old lady. I remember this was a bit before that, but we kicked 12 goals in a row, let's say, and we were sitting on right at the bottom, and she just marched up the aisle and started eyeballing Bulldogs fans and just going, "Stop laughing. It's not that funny. Stop it."
Oh my God, that is so funny. It's to see the sooking that goes on. It's on a different level.
But she was doing it for laughs. I just.
Oh, was she? Okay. All right. Are you sure about that?
Right. We're losing. Let's have fun with it.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it hasn't been a very happy hunting ground. Marvel Stadium against the Western Bulldogs. Looking at the win-loss. Yeah, but it's only been 2 out of the last 11 I was looking at. Yeah, okay. So it's been, not great territory for us. I mean, the last 10 years have summed up both clubs. It's been a successful period for the Dogs and a very unsuccessful period for the Bombers. We are, at this stage, equal on wins and on points. Okay. We do have a game in hand, and I wouldn't mind getting your take on the Bombers this year. Have you watched any of the Bombers? Do you have any insights on how they're tracking along?
Not that closely.
Opinions?
I was asking about your teacher, for heaven's sake. But
yeah, that's true.
No, I do. I mean, I've watched a bit. I watched the first quarter on Saturday, and you guys are sleeping giants. Like when it all does fall into place, Melbourne is going to realise just how big this club is. Like Bombers, I know, I'm not bringing up the finals thing just for, the finals drought just to make fun of it, but to make a point. You have not won a final in the social media era. Like there was no Facebook, no Twitter, nothing in 2004. When you finally do win that final, and I hope it's against Hawthorn, just because that'll be hilarious. Facebook is going to go into meltdown and how happy, and we're going to remember just how many fans there are of the Essendon Football Club, and it's going to be glorious. It's going to be really annoying, but it's going to be glorious. It's a bit like when Richmond suddenly came good, because you guys are the new Richmond, your fans, in that you only need to win a couple of games and suddenly you're up and about, and suddenly I'm seeing not so I can see Jesse in your eyes that you would be quite reluctant to be up and about. Definitely my mate Casper would be reluctant, but there'd be a bit of you. And there'd be a lot of your fans suddenly going, yes, we're back. Here we go. Back where we belong. And that's nothing. And you asked me how you thought your season went. But anyway, that quarter, I could see definitely in your cheer squad, there was belief, because it's more like you're just waiting for return to normalcy. This 20-year bad dream that you've lived through. And I think it is coming. I agree with what you said. Like you seem to have, you had a lot of problems off the field, and I mean we can only speculate what happens in the boardroom. But if you've got the West Coast CEO, I think that's a really good move. And yeah, changing your list manager, that has been the number one request of all the intelligent Bombers
I'm
fans.
sure you've heard that from Casper for a while now.
Definitely from Casper. I've heard it from Rowan Connolly, who I occasionally chat to. I've heard it from a guy called Skip, who's the head of the South Australian Bombers group, who I'm mates with. And yeah, look, it's amazing what getting good players into your club will actually do.
Yeah, it is amazing. It really is. And I agree with you. Yeah. It does seem like at this stage we forget how big of a club we are. And over the weekend, I know you only watched the first quarter, but the second quarter ended and we were up by about 35 points against Sydney. And you could just see the appreciation of the crowd when the boys were coming off. Typical Essendon, we absolutely shat the bed in the second half and did not repay our standing ovation from our supporter base back to them. But nonetheless, there is this real appreciation that we have for when the boys put their body on the line. But it just, at the moment, with a young team, seems like we've really only got the capacity to do it for 2 quarters at best. We haven't really, probably at best we did it against Hawthorn. We played for 3 quarters and it was a really good game. But we've got
Collingwood 2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing with us is when we drop off though, we really drop off. We really drop off.
I'm just looking at your results now on my phone and just getting memories. The Adelaide game was particularly bad. But Adelaide are good. But no one knew that Adelaide was good back then. So that just looked like the Bombers have found a new low and, sacked the board, sacked the coach, all of that malarkey. But there's been, I mean, I loved you beating Melbourne. That was great fun. The West Coast game, I did watch the last quarter, and of course I was going for West Coast because you feel so, as much as I feel bad for Essendon fans, I feel even worse for West Coast fans. Like they are the biggest club in the country, and oh my god, they're a basket case. And when I say feel sorry, I mean it's hilarious. But I also don't know as many arrogant West Coast fans as I do annoying Essendon fans. But that's just because I don't live in Perth.
Yeah. No, look, and I mean, they played really well that game. Well, they didn't play well, West Coast, and we didn't play that well, but they just brought the heat. There was a lot of pressure that they put on. But the thing with Essendon is if you bring the heat and you dial up the pressure to above whatever the AFL calls that pressure rating, if you can get it above 180, 190 against us, we just overuse the football and we panic. And that is a symptom of inexperience and younger players. And that's the key to your victory over the weekend. If you guys bring that heat for 2.5, 3 quarters, we're just going to get blown out of the water. But one thing that I did hear, which could be a slight concern for your mob, is a statistic of the amount of games that you've won after playing in Darwin. And the percentage is very low, apparently.
I believe that.
Have not won many the week after Darwin. So it should be interesting to see how that goes.
And it's only been, so it's a 7-day break, but I absolutely believe that. We struggle after, it's a bit like, so I also follow, because of my father, I follow Celtic in the Champions League, and it's amazing the amount of teams who will play a brilliant Champions League game and then they'll lose, like we lose. I'm trying to think of an English Premier League equivalent, just so people understand it, because if the Scottish people, unless there's Scottish fans listening, they won't get it. But it'd be like, Chelsea beating Barcelona and then they lose to Luton Town on the weekend. Yeah. It happens way more than you think. And I guess going to Darwin is sort of like going off you're going to the other side of the continent. You're playing there, and Yeah, we're pretty bad in that, and we're usually pretty bad. Well, whatever our first game back after the bye, if we've had a good first half of the year, we'll lose it. But if we've been terrible, we'll win it. We'll always have the opposite. We almost we go through a little George Costanza, do the opposite of what we're supposed to do after that bye, and no matter where we play Geelong, they will beat us. So we can play them in Adelaide for a gather round, play them at Cardinia, play them at Docklands. They will always beat us. So they're the consistent.
Don't worry.
things.
The only win that I can remember against Geelong since maybe 2007 was the Amy Community Series game this year,
wow.
and I took that. If I can get a win and we won at Cardinia Park as well. It was great.
Brilliant. Good.
I thought we beat you guys. We beat Geelong. I was like, we're in for a big season here. Watch out.
So
no,
you believe.
I still. Yeah, I did. And hey, I'm tempered expectations now that we've had almost every single key position player go down with a season-ending injury. So the good thing about that is you actually can't get hope. You just can't. You know that you're not going to do well, and it really just makes you feel a lot better about each game because you know if you win, it's a gift, it's a blessing.
Yeah, but you're in that annoying position where. If you had bottomed out, sort of like West Coast Richmond, North Melbourne for the millionth time, then they're sort of relaxing games where, you get a win. That's a bonus you're not expecting to. You can. What I like to do in those situations is I'll pick a rookie that I'm hopeful for, and I'll just watch them, or I just watch one of our great midfielders, and I just follow one player for the quarter, and I love doing that. Whereas you're sort of in that. You never bottomed out, Essendon. I think that's actually...
We're going to finish 12th again this year. It's our favourite position on the ladder. It's shocking.
You're not top... That's pick 7, unless you trade up. You got to properly bottom out. The only time you've come dead last was 2016, wasn't it? When, where you and I...
The top-up year.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
So I think that's been the main issue. But... I can see why you're not going to bottom out yet because you've got young players and you've got a few older ones who could get you that final. But I'm not sure when you're going to challenge for the next top 4 spot. However, what the hell do I know? For all I know, next year you're going to no one really knows. It's the equalisation measures actually do work, and for all I know, Essendon's going to have another undefeated season in 2026.
Wow. I think the whole, as you said, all of Melbourne would absolutely erupt if that happened. There would be tremors occurring when Essendon was playing at the MCG.
It would be, and it'd be fun, you thumping Collingwood. It'd be funny, you thumping Hawthorn. When you thump past something, that's just rude.
That'd be great as well. I mean, a man can only dream, Danny. I wouldn't mind you just providing a bit of insight as well, just as to the forward line at the moment, because obviously Sam Darcy's out with that knee injury, which, for us Essendon supporters to see him get away with an ACL is, not to say that we wish an injury on him. It's just a shame, for us that we've had all these players go down. Yeah, it's great to see. He was in such good form. And I think the feeling that you would have had having him go down with injury is what we've had with all of those players because they were all just in such good form. So just firstly, talk us through where you're at with the feelings towards Sam Darcy going down. And then what does the forward line makeup look like without him?
Sure. So remember the match where Sam Darcy did his knee was the same match where Bont was back. So we only got 30 minutes of Bont and Darcy being on the park at the same time. So that was probably the most frustrating thing. We just got Bont back. We're like, yes, here we go. And then they took away our star forward. Where we're at. So Norton has had a very, very quiet season this year. And that started, at the simulation at Whitten Oval where your man thumped him. Defeated him, not thumped him off the ball. He played very fairly and defended very well. Cody Waitman. Do you actually know what's wrong with Cody Waitman?
Is he just enjoying doing his artistry too much or something?
No, it's a very weird thing. They found pre-season, they were just... He said his knee was feeling a bit weird. Not painful, just weird. And then the doctors actually had a look. He actually has a second patella in one of his knees. So that's another kneecap. And
what?
So yeah, exactly. And everyone was just, that shouldn't be there. And he's like, yeah, it sort of feels a bit weird. And they were like, okay. And then they tried to work out what to do. Eventually they removed it. And so he is on the indefinite list because no one has ever had this condition before.
Wow.
So that's why we don't know when he's coming. He might not play all year. Might never play again. Who knows?
Wow.
We think he's going to come back, but we're not sure. So Norton's been quiet, and that was fine because Darcy was just so amazing. And Jamari Ugle-Hagen's probably not coming back, potentially ever, as far as we know. So where have our goals been coming from? So the great thing is we've sort of brought Riley West has been our small forward who takes
he's been
such
good.
Strong grabs, and he's got a bit of mongrel to him. Sam Davidson's been just such a great pickup. So we got him as a mature age rookie from Richmond's VFL side, and he's been amazing. Like, he destroyed Carlton in, I think it was round 3. It was bloody awesome to see. But yeah, overall, like, I'm no good at looking at the AFL app. I'm trying to see who the leading goal scorers are for our team, which is something I should be able to do. But I'm 42 now. I'm getting to that age of just, how do I do this? What's going on? Bloody hell. So, but the way we're playing at the moment is our classic Bulldogs chaos ball, where you just don't really know where it's going to go, and we kind of score goals from anywhere. We're getting a lot of rebounds, stuff from defensive 50, and Aaron Norton actually plays very high.
Essendon don't like hearing that.
Oh, really?
Transition goals. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we were
That's
number
our
1
kryptonite.
for it up until last week. I don't know if we still are number 1, so it's going pretty well, but. Even Buku Kamas has gone forward a fair bit in the last few weeks, and that's worked out pretty well. So I would say if Norton continues his form slump, which I don't want him to, but if he does, I'd say our main goal scorer will be either Riley West or Buku Kamas.
Interesting. And how do you feel about Jamara?
It's very sad. He's he's fallen in with a bad crew.
Generational talent.
Yes, but, talent, hard work beats talent when talent won't work hard, and he's not working hard at the moment, and he's gone through, there's some stuff going on. And the latest news is apparently he's gone to some Betty Ford clinic style thing in northern New South Wales in order to get himself back on track, and that is huge news. That's
good.
Fantastic, because from what's
that, like a rehab wellness type place?
And that's a big admission on his part if he has gone there and he does take it seriously. Because from what I'd heard, he'd been partying all the time up until I heard he'd gone to that. So hopefully he comes back. I know he's burned a fair few bridges within the football department of people trying to help him. I would love for him to come back because he is amazing when he's on. When he was. It's almost. He was such a great white hope that we didn't even notice how good Sam Darcy was until suddenly Sam Darcy was by himself.
Imagine having both of them firing. Like, that's just terrifying.
It is. And do you know the other thing that came out last week is there's another Darcy kid coming up, Will Darcy, who plays as a key defender. So
really?
We're spoiled at the moment.
And is he meant to be good?
He is, apparently. Friend of a friend who works at Scotch College says he's a jet, even better than his brother, training the house down.
Oh, of course. It's always what you hear, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's Melbourne.
That's great. And how's Libba going this year?
Do people actually listen to this pod? Like, this is an Essendon podcast, and you're just asking me to just list off everything that's brilliant about my club. Like, Libba's amazing.
He tears us apart. So I want to hear the news on him. How he's going this year. Is he having as good of a year as he always does? Just being that workhorse.
He's having an even better year than he normally does. He just gets better with age.
But you know what? Him and Jai Caldwell is going to be an absolute... I reckon they're going to put Caldwell on Libba, and that's going to be such a good matchup. Because Jai Caldwell is the junkyard dog, like Liberatore. It's either that or Sammy Durham goes to him. But I reckon Sammy Durham will probably go to Bont, and they'll put Caldwell to Libba, and they're just... bury their noses into the turf, those guys. So it'll be such a good matchup. Finally, the first year we've probably had someone physical and fit enough to run around with someone like Libba. So it'll be good to see.
It's interesting. Libba gets tagged a fair bit, but what we've been doing recently, when Libba gets tagged or Bont gets tagged, we put Latham Vandermeer on the tagger. Latham Vandermeer is much maligned by the, I don't want to say it, but the idiots who support the Bulldogs. Anyone who doesn't get football or doesn't watch it properly thinks Latham Vandermeer doesn't get enough possessions. He butchers the ball. He's there to be, as you say, a junkyard dog. He's there to be a pest. He's there as a chaos factor. He's there to be Loki. He loves watching the world burn, and he's really good at it. Apparently, he's good at the trash talk and getting right under the psyche of some people. And I can't wait for him to take down Bailey Smith, because they knew each other in high school and apparently were not friends.
Really? Well, they both went to the same high school. They were both Xavier boys. So that's interesting to hear and to know. What's the situation with Vandermeer? Because is he still playing high half forward?
Yeah, he sort of goes wherever he's needed to go. Yeah, usually around midfield, half back, half forward, wherever the chaos is needed. He'll tag, he'll occasionally be a goal sneak, but mostly around half back, I would say.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, it'll be a very interesting game. So I actually don't know what time the game is over the weekend. If it's its usual Saturday fixture, it's usually a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night.
No,
Looks like it's Saturday night. Are you heading down to the game?
Yeah. I will be, yes. I do some match day emceeing for the coterie groups and past players' rooms. So I'll be interviewing some people, and also it's because it's a Doug Nicholls round. There's some other events so I'll be quite busy before the game, and I'll be watching it with a famous Bombers friend, an old mate of mine, Charlie Pickering, who's
nice.
Also a long-suffering Bombers fan. But it should be good fun. I'm excited, and I think I'm cautiously optimistic. I think I'm just looking now at the. It's a shame that this is how we predict things, but the odds. You're paying $3.90. I think that's unfair to you. That's you beat us last time, and you beat us quite convincingly. So I think you're going to do better than the pundits are saying.
Well, we'll see. Final predictions is usually how we end the show, Danny. So give me your margin, your victor, your margin, best on, and most goals.
Okay. I think first goal will be the Bombers. I think we've started slowly the last all year. I think after quarter time we'll probably get into our gear and have worked out how to suffocate you, or whatever, get into your heads. And as you said, maybe you'll be ahead at halftime, give a standing ovation, and then stop. That would be very nice of you. Look, it's actually really easy, the best on ground for us, because of course it's going to be Bont. I think the Dogs will win because I'm a chronic optimist and that's how I live my life. I think we'll win by 26 points, and most goals is going to be Buku Kamas. It's going to be quite the surprise, and final margin. Yeah, it'll be a good game. It'll be like 110 to 84.
Okay, nice. Yeah,
do you give it as well?
Yeah, I'll give mine if you want to hear it, Danny.
Of course.
Well, I'm in a similar vein to you at the moment. I am at the moment putting the reverse moz on the club because I didn't tip us last week against Sydney and we won. So I'm going to do the same thing this week. I do genuinely think we will lose to you guys, and it will be a bit of an arm wrestle. Similar game to the Collingwood game is what I see. Or it will be a typical Essendon Western Bulldogs game, and we'll just get absolutely blown out of the water in the first quarter, and it will be game over in the first 30 minutes of the day. So we'll see what happens, but I suspect we'll probably lose by 4 or 5 goals, similar to what you said. Best on ground, I'm going to say Libba. He loves having a day out against us, and most goals, I do see it being more of a mid-sized forward. And for that reason, I'm going to give it to Riley West, I would say.
Yeah, nice. Yep, I can see that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, before you finish, I did mention to you when we were organising this, I wanted to ask a favour of the Essendon, of the Sash listeners. Sash. Sorry, Sash is someone I work with who spells it the same way. The Sash listeners. I've been doing a thing on my YouTube channel called The Seeds of Hatred, which is just mini documentaries about how the rivalry started. I've done Carlton Collingwood, I've done Hawthorn Geelong, I've done Port Adelaide and the Crows. And I want to do one about Essendon, but I don't know too many stories about your early history. And I've read a book about the history of the Essendon Football Club. So I read about, John Coleman and all those legends that you had, but there wasn't so much the cloak and dagger skullduggery stories that I'm looking for. So if any of the listeners or Bombers historians can get in touch with me, why do you hate Carlton so much? Because you haven't met them in as many grand finals as, say, your Collingwoods or your Melbournes. But that is a proper rivalry there. And I reckon, and surely your club more than anyone has done some off-field shenanigans. And that's what I want to know about. So if you could please hit me up and let me know the great behind-the-scenes or even on-the-field dodginess that Essendon have done. I would love to hear that.
And give yourself a plug, Danny. Where can the listeners find you and your podcast?
I mean, yeah, sure. I'm sure many Essendon fans want to listen to Danny Boyd, but it's called Danny Boyd. It's myself and Tom Boyd, who, of course, kicked the winning goal in the 2016 grand final. Norm Smith, runner-up. We just talk about the Bulldogs, and it's good fun. I'm on YouTube at Danny McGinley. A lot of footy-related material. There's a couple of videos you guys will like. I spoke to Rowan Connolly about the best 5 home and away wins that Essendon have ever experienced. So if I could send you that link, if you could put it on socials, you'd all enjoy it. We also did the 5 worst losses. You don't need to watch that one. That's just for Schadenfreude, for Carlton fans. But I'm on Instagram. I do the Bulldogs banners again this year, so I'm putting them up every week. This week there's no anti-Essendon sentiment because it's a Doug Nicholls round, and so we're all quite respectful and positive about the great game of Marngrook. So I'm just on socials. Always happy to chat, even to opposition fans. So hit me up, and we'll talk how great the Bombers are.
Well, thanks for joining the show, and to all the faithful out there, we will have our usual Thursday night preview show. The game is at 7:35 at Marvel Stadium, the home of footy as per Danny, the favourite of all stadiums in the land. Thanks for joining us again.
Than the MCG.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a fun fact. One last thing about Dogland Stadium, Marvel Stadium, Colonial, whatever you want to call it. Only 2 clubs who've ever played home games there have won the flag. And that's Essendon, 2000, Footscray, 2016.
There we go. And plenty more to come, hopefully.
No one else has come up to our level. So we are the 2 best of the house.
Well, thanks again for joining, and listen out for the show on Thursday. Sash Faithful. Ciao for now. Go Bombers.
Go Dogs.